What's going on, YouTube? So, yesterday I ended up competing in a tournament and I performed really well, so I wanted to go ahead and show y'all how I did. By the way, if y'all guys want chess coaching, link in the description. So, this is game one, and I'm starting off with the white pieces. I start off with e4, and they play d6, d4, knight f6, and we get the modern. Now, a lot of people here as white would play f4. I think the lines there are good. I personally, though, like bishop e3 in preparing to long castle super quickly and go for a kingside attack. Whereas black is also doing everything correct. Uh, there's an argument that as black you may not want to castle as early, but I think the way they're playing is completely normal. I play f3 and they play queen a5. Their plan is that they're aiming to attack my queen side because that's where I'm castled, and I'm planning on sending a pawn storm up and attacking the king side. So it's really a race of who gets to whose king first. Now to stop any crazy counterplay happening on this side of the board, I play this move king b1. He now plays b5, and here this insane move is possible. So I analyzed these games with my coach, and he pointed out that knight d5 here, and it looks like you're losing a knight, but the idea is they can't take it because you would take their queen. So, uh, let's say they take your queen, you throw in this in-between move, check. So you're actually just picking up a pawn. Let's say they move your king, and you take your queen back. And this position is really good for white. Yeah, I ended up missing this in the game, but it's not like I played a bad move by any means. I played bishop h6, following with the standard plan, preparing to go h4 and h5. He played bishop to e6. Again, I have this knight to d5 move, but I didn't see it, so instead I played d5. He took, I took his bishop on g7. Here he played this really creative move, d4. And here is probably another time where maybe I should have gone uh, 95 right away. Probably would have been pretty good. But I chose to keep it really simple and just take what looked to me like a free pawn. It's actually not free. Believe it or not, this gives up white's advantage because black just develops too quickly. But obviously he had to take my bishop back here. Uh, and yeah, I just continued developing. This move is multi-purpose, has multiple purposes. It, for one, develops the bishop, but you're also just getting your bishop back to guard your king. So I thought it was very nice. Uh, yeah, he played knight e5, now attacking my bishop. I have to slide back, and he played rook f to c8. He was trying to sacrifice something here. I believe. I don't think that he just missed that I can take his pawn, but I think he misevaluated just how good my position is after knight takes e7. He played knight c4. The computer, believe it or not, still thinks he's fine here. Like, barely better. Actually, no, not here. Here. He would have had to play a different move other than knight c4, I believe. Because here I take, and play b3. And now he has this issue, which is his bishop is hanging and his rook is hanging, and he just can't defend both at the same time. So he tries this other creative move, pawn to d5. You can very easily get yourself in trouble here if you take this bishop, because these pawns are going to come down the board and wreck you. So it's important that you actually take the rook, and then you take the bishop. You just have to be a little bit accurate with the way you exchange the pieces here, but yeah, now I'm just up a rook, and I convert quite cleanly. I have to defend against mate. A very sad way to lose this game would be to play queen here, and now there's no way to. You can still play here, but like maybe let's say instead of that, you played like queen here. Now there would be no way to defend against mate. That would be tragic. Upper rook, but still losing. And yeah, I converted this pretty cleanly. Went for this queen trade, and he stood no chance. Like, yeah, the game is over here. Uh, so that was game one. Pretty flawless. I missed a couple of nice tactical shots there, as y'all seen with moving my knight to the center, but overall I would say pretty good. And this is the second game. Here I'm actually black, so let me flip the board. And my opponent starts off with d4. I played d5, knight c3. I got really lucky here because this is, believe it or not, what I've been studying for the past like 2 weeks as black is the Jobava London in the regular London. And yeah, he ends up playing the Jobava London. I play e6. And here knight b5 isn't an issue because we would play knight to a6 with the idea that we'd eventually play c6 and c5. We'd put on knight on b5 and probably put it back on c6 in most variations. You don't really have to memorize that, but the, just know that knight a5 isn't, knight b5 isn't much of an issue. So he plays the main line with e3. I play bishop e4, and he plays knight e2. Knight e2, I have a little bit of preparation, but it's not the main line. The main line is actually bishop to d3 here. But yeah, knight e2 is interesting. It's just basically saying that I don't want to double my pawns. I castle, and he plays a3. Here, most times, in most of these lines, when you get attacked with a3, you want to trade the bishop for the knight. But here, since he's guarding, you actually just want to go back. He plays knight to g3, and it's quite obvious here that somehow he wants to get some sort of kingside attack going, whereas I'm wanting to play on the queen side. I play c5, going for the central pawn break. Very good to do in these d4 positions. In fact, if we go all the way back to move like 2, the reason knight c3 isn't the best is because in d4, d5 positions, you always want to play c4 or c5 before moving your knight out. And that's why black is always fine in these lines. So I played c5 and he took. I just took back with the bishop. He played bishop to d3, knight c6. And here, I thought h6 was creative, and I think he actually got lucky. Even after the game, he told me he got lucky. h6 sets up an unbelievable uh, bishop trap. Like, let's just say he plays something random, like queen d2. His bishop is actually just trapped. It can't move anywhere. And yeah, that's what I was setting up. But he got really lucky and found this b4. I played bishop e7, and then e4, getting out of his bishop being trapped. And here I thought I might lose the game. It looks like all the momentum here is on white side. He has all of the space. He's currently definitely the one with the initiative. And he's also attacking the king. Whereas my attack's going to be on the queen side, and there's no king over there. So it's kind of like I'm attacking nothing. But yeah, I continued to play on, of course. I played e5. Uh, I think this has to be the best move. If you don't play this, you just get ran over. Bishop d2 and d4. He moved his knight back, of course, and I played bishop to d6. I spent a lot of time here deciding on what to do, and I think bishop d6 may. I think objectively the computer says that there's slightly better in the position, But I think practically speaking, bishop d6 is the best. Because white's whole plan here is to play f4. And bishop d6 just helps prevent f4 from ever being a serious threat. He played queen c1 with the idea of sacking on h7. And the computer says I can actually ignore this and just play a6. I'm human, so I of course guard against that with king to h7. And now we see this move f4. And here I think I play another great move, which is bishop g4, because let's just say you play a waiting move like a6, they actually shut down the position, and now your bishop can never get out, and all of white's pieces are facing the king side. Like, this just looks like black's about to get ran over. The computer says black can hold this position. I don't I don't believe it. Not a human. I think white would crush me in the next like 10 moves. So instead, bishop g4 has the idea of trading uh, this bishop for this knight before my bishop becomes super passive. So now he plays f5, and I don't take the knight right away. Instead, I'm waiting for him to play this move h6. So first I'll play knight e7. I could have also played a5 here, forcing him to play b5, and then bring my knight back. Both are fine. But I like knight e7 immediately. He plays h3 now, so we trade, and he takes back with the bishop. I think what is more accurate and what my coach pointed out was taking with a knight, because now white has the idea to play g4 and g5, and yeah, black looks under serious pressure here. I believe he's still holding on, but it looks very dangerous. But he took with the bishop, and I played queen b6. Other candidate moves could have been like rook c8. In fact, this was the other move that I was thinking of. It was between rook c8 and queen b6. I decided on queen b6 because it has multiple purposes. For one, you develop your queen. You also threaten to play d3 here with a discover check, and at some point you can play queen c6 and line up more pressure on this pawn. So yeah, uh, uh, very much a multi-purpose move. He played king h1 to escape the threat of d3, and now I play rook to c8. He plays bishop to h5, and I think this is quite a bad move, personally. The hope is that if I take, he takes, and he would sacrifice his knight on g7, with the point being that he would play bishop takes h6 next. But the problem with this plan is that I don't have to take his bishop, and after queen c6, I'm now threatening to take this pawn and take the c2 pawn, and he just can't guard both. So he plays bishop d1, which shows you just how bad bishop h5 was, because he instantly has to move it back the next move, and I pick up a pawn. Bishop to f3 doesn't work because knight takes g3 comes a check, so he just takes immediately and plays this fancy move f6. Here black can lose all of their advantage instantly. I was deciding between two moves, and the two moves was knight f5 and knight to g8. Knight to g8 looked like a safe alternative if I couldn't play knight to f5, but it actually loses all of black's advantage. Just because white's attack is all of a sudden pretty strong, and black just doesn't have their pieces developed properly. So instead I played knight f5. I'm now threatening a fork. That should be noted. And he sacrifices his rook with rook takes f5. I take back. And here, his best move has to be bishop g4, where he ends up getting his exchange back, but is still down two pawns and just kind of has to hold this position. It's quite miserable, I won't lie, but it was probably his best shot. Instead, he played f takes g7, and now I get a knockout blow. So it looks like I have to react to this because my rook is hanging, but I actually don't. His back rank is under attack, and now he has to move his king, and I play e4. Now checking with the bishop. g3, I play queen f2 check, king h1, and now bishop takes g3, and mate is unstoppable next move. The game finishes with bishop f4 and queen h2 checkmate. This game was very nice. He had a chance to take the advantage at some point, and this idea way back here with instead of taking with the bishop, if he took with the knight and played this g4 g5 idea, it would have been quite scary. I won't lie. I don't think it's instantly winning for white, but it would have been much harder to defend. And yeah, let's get on to game three. So my opponent, I'm also black in this game, and my opponent starts off with d4, and now plays the regular London, which I was quite excited to see, because like I said, I've been studying this. I play c5. This is not a free pawn, by the way. After it takes an e6, if you try holding onto it with b4, then I play queen f6, forking the bishop and the rook. A common tactic. E3, he just plays the main line. I play knight c6, he plays knight f3, I play knight f6. This is very standard, of course, very standard looking London position. He plays c3, and now I play this nice move trying to fight for the initiative, queen b6. He plays a move, and believe it or not, I don't think he got lucky here. Maybe, but I think he was hoping to trick me here. Typically, white's move here is queen b3, because queen c2 is almost always impossible due to this move, bishop to f5. Here, it is shockingly not possible. By the way, the reason for this is if queen takes f5, then queen takes b2, and white loses the rook. But white has this incredible move here, d takes c5. And yeah, black is busted. Black can't stay attacking this, and now they're actually just going to lose this bishop on f5. So whether he got lucky or if he knew that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I couldn't play my standard plan, so I played g6. And I'm pretty sure this is in the course that I follow. He played knight a3, just getting his knight out, and also coming with the threat of knight to b5. Even though that might not be that scary, I still want to prevent it. So first I played bishop f5, attacking the queen, and then locked the position down to c4. White really should be playing for some sort of b3. He can't do it immediately, but at some point, if he wants any sort of play, I think b3 is a must. But first he plays bishop e2, I play knight h5, trying to take his bishop, and I chase his bishop around. And my plays up to this point, I think has been pretty flawless. But here I start to go off course here slightly. I play e6, this move's fine. And after castles, I take on a3. This isn't mandatory, by the way. It looks nice doubling his pawns, but I really don't have to. It's not bad though. This is where I went off the rails slightly. I played king e7. Now, this looks like I'm just trying to play the delayed Blanc bro really thinks he's Hikaru. But it really did have a point, which was I thought that if I long castle, if somehow he ever gets this bishop dislodged, I thought I was just running into an attack on the b file. But the truth is my attack is so much quicker. Uh, but I thought my king was completely safe on e7. And if I was correct on that, then king e7 would have been really good. But the sad part is I was actually wrong. Uh, after knight d2, which is a great move. Like, very professionally done by my opponent. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's quite underrated over the board. Uh, yeah, he played this game phenomenal. I played h5, and here's where he had to seize the advantage. If he played e4 here, white is winning. Like, no ands, ifs, or buts, completely winning. Black's position is falling apart. The point is that I can't take with my pawn because of knight takes f4. And I can't take with my bishop because of knight takes here, and then the queen takes on g5. So, what I was planning on doing, and I actually think I saw something like this in the game, and I thought I was wuss, I just couldn't tell how was going back, and if he takes, by the way, he doesn't even have to take. I think my coach pointed out that he could play rook to b1. But yeah, if he takes, all of a sudden my king is just exposed. Or if he went rook to b1. Oops, I skipped too far forward. Well, look at that. uh, yeah, but he had the chance to seize the advantage and he missed it. He instead played bishop f3, and I put my bishop on d3. He moved his rook, still preparing this idea of e4, and I tried locking it down with f5. Here he plays something really creative, although it it loses. Like, it's creative, but it loses. He played e4 anyway. Now, this looks completely stopped, and the truth is, it is. But he does have an idea. I take, and he sacrifices his knight with the idea of bringing his queen to g5. But, I mean, a free knight, I have to take it and just see what happens. I put my king on d6, takes with the bishop, and here the only move, or at least the top engine move, I find. I spend a lot of time here thinking, and he just gave you a knight, and you give it right back. Knight takes d4. And cd4 doesn't work. Because after queen d4, king h1, you have bishop takes e4. Uh, so yeah, he instead played queen f4. I block with my pawn. Queen f6, and part of the genius of this knight move, and I saw this when I went for it, is that here you can bring your knight back with a check because it opens the lines. Uh, so he moved his king, and I just started bringing my rooks into the body. Here, I thought this move was very classy, just putting a knight on a better square and defending. I took with the pawn, e4 because he is threatening to take, and your position gets a lot worse after that, clearly. So I play e4. He plays c4 with this idea to go queen to d5. Even though I didn't think it was that scary, I still guarded against it. And he played rook a to b1, and now I played rook f2 with the idea that I'm going to get my second rook in, play e5, and mate. E3 and mate. So he plays queen e3, stopping that plan. I still bring my other rook, and now he plays h4, just making sure he never has any back rank problems. I play king c7, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all guys. This guy was blitzing out every move. And one of the problems that you have with over the board compared to online is at some point you have to stop taking annotation because you just get low on time. Here I had something like 6 minutes while he had like 22. I'm up at night, but uh, I I had to stop taking annotation because my time was running very low. In fact, when I won this game, I only had like, I believe, a minute left on my clock. Anyway, the game ended with, I ended up getting both rooks here because he put his king here, so this pawn couldn't take my rook, and I ended up sacking this rook twice and somehow getting my queen in and mating. I thought it was very beautiful, but yeah, obviously I can't show it. I don't have the invitation. But I hope y'all guys enjoyed this game. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if y'all guys want chess coaching, make sure to check out the description to my school community. And yeah, I'm hoping to be posting a lot more in 2025, and I'll see y'all on the next video.